Emily smoothed out the wrinkles on her faded dress and took a deep breath before stepping inside the warm glow of the restaurant. Her heart pounded louder than the clinking of glasses around her. She wasn't used to places like this, places where polished floors reflected chandeliers and couples laughed over expensive meals. Tonight was supposed to be special. A friend had set her up on a blind date saying, "Maybe this will be your chance to meet someone good, Emily." But as Emily reached into her purse, she felt the reality of her world pressing against her chest. A single crumpled $5 bill, that was all she had, enough for a small drink, maybe a side dish, but nothing more. She whispered to herself, "Just don't embarrass yourself. Smile, be kind, maybe he won't notice." Her stomach tightened. She hadn't eaten much all day, saving what little she had for this moment. She hoped tonight would be different. She hoped someone might finally see her for more than her struggles. When her date arrived, Emily's fragile hope quickly crumbled. He was tall, well-dressed, and wore an expensive watch that gleamed every time he lifted his hand. At first, Emily smiled nervously, trying to be polite, but within minutes his words sliced through her like sharp glass. "So, you're ordering just a small drink?" he asked, raising an eyebrow. Emily nodded. "Yes, just a lemonade," he smirked. "You can't come to a place like this and only order that, unless, of course, you can't afford more." The words burned. Emily forced a laugh to cover her shame, but her cheeks turned red. She wanted to explain, wanted to tell him about the bills she worked so hard to pay, about the long hours at the cafe, about the nights she went to bed hungry so she could keep a roof over her head, but she said nothing. The man leaned back, unimpressed. "This isn't going to work. I need someone who can keep up with my lifestyle." And just like that, he stood, dropped a few bills on the table for his drink, and walked away, without even looking back. Emily sat frozen, her chest tightened, tears threatening to spill. She stared at her untouched lemonade, her only purchase, and felt the sting of humiliation wash over her. Why did I even come? Why did I think anyone could see past what I don't have? At the table nearby, a man in his late 30s had been watching quietly. His little daughter, about 6 years old, sat across from him, swinging her legs beneath the chair. "Daddy," she whispered, tugging at his sleeve. "Why is that lady sad?" The man glanced at Emily, who was dabbing her eyes with a napkin, trying not to be noticed. His heart softened. He recognized the look of someone trying to hold themselves together in a world that often felt too heavy. He leaned toward his daughter and smiled gently. "Sometimes, sweetheart, people have hard days. What matters is that we treat them with kindness." The little girl nodded, then tilted her head curiously. "Can we help her?" The man looked back at Emily, his mind already made up. He had been raised to believe that success meant nothing if you forgot compassion along the way. And though no one here knew it, he wasn't just any man. He was a CEO of a growing company. But tonight, he wasn't sitting there as a businessman. He was a father teaching his daughter about the power of kindness. The man stood, his daughter's small hand wrapped in his, and walked toward Emily's table. She quickly wiped her tears, embarrassed at being noticed. "Hi," he said softly, offering a warm smile. "I couldn't help but notice you're sitting alone. Would you mind if we joined you?" Emily blinked, surprised. For a moment, she thought he was pitying her, but then she saw the kindness in his eyes, and the excited grin on the little girl's face, of course. Emily said hesitantly. They sat down, and conversation flowed more easily than Emily expected. The little girl chattered about school, about how her dad made the best pancakes, and how she loved drawing. Emily laughed for the first time that night, her heart slowly unclenching. As they talked, a waiter appeared with a small dessert plate chocolate cake with 2 forks. Emily shook her head quickly. "Oh, I didn't order that." The waiter smiled. "It's been taken care of." Emily looked at the man, who shrugged lightly. "My daughter insisted we share dessert with you." Emily's eyes softened. She hadn't tasted something so rich in months. They laughed, ate together, and for a brief moment, she forgot the sting of rejection, the loneliness, the weight of poverty. She wasn't a poor girl with only $5. She was simply Emily, sitting at a table with people who saw her heart instead of her circumstances. When it was time to leave, the little girl hopped off her chair and wrapped her arms around Emily. "You're really nice," she said with a sweet smile. "I hope we see you again." Emily froze, her eyes welling with tears. No one had hugged her in so long. No one had said those simple words that carried so much warmth. "Thank you," Emily whispered, her voice trembling. The man gave her a kind nod. "Take care of yourself, Emily. Remember, Sometimes life brings people into our path for a reason. As they walked away, Emily sat still, her heart pounding. She hadn't even asked his name. She had no idea that he was a successful CEO. To her, he was just a father who showed her that kindness still existed in a world that often felt cruel. She looked down at her empty glass, then at the dessert plate now cleared away, and smiled through her tears. For the first time in a long while, she felt hope stirring inside her. The night that began with humiliation had ended with an unforgettable truth. In a world where many judge by what you have, true kindness is priceless, and it can come from the most unexpected places. Emily walked into that restaurant with nothing but $5 and a fragile hope that someone might see her worth. What she found instead was ridicule, rejection, and a reminder of how harsh the world can be. Yet on the very same night, she also discovered something far greater. A stranger's kindness, a child's innocent love, and the quiet truth that compassion costs nothing but can mean everything. That evening changed her. It wasn't the failed date she would remember, but the little girl's hug, the warmth of a shared dessert, and the simple reminder that she mattered. And though she never knew the man's title or wealth, she carried his lesson with her.